you, the people who are blaming everybody, including blaming the Trump administration. But the way they used that, it was like Rwanda is just in Congo doing whatever, supporting M23, or even the existence of M23 is about minerals, according to them. So they keep playing, even overplaying this narrative. In the end, it works to the detriment of the solution to the problem. Now, it really becomes like, it's like having arsonists being the judge and the prosecutor of people for burning down the house. The very ones who burnt down the house are the ones in the seat to judge, to prosecute, and everything. This is what happened. So some people oversimplify this matter, and take it just to the surface. It's about blaming FC M23, Rwanda, former president of DRC, you mentioned. By the way, do you know that, maybe, I don't know why you should gukemura ibibazo uko bikwiriye kuba bikemuka, u Rwanda narwo ruzakomeza gukora ibishoboka byose kugira ngo rurinde abanyarwanda, rurinde igihugu, kubura umutekano bitewe n'uko abandi twumvikanye batari. Batuzuza ibyabo byangombwa. You should never forget things conveniently. You know how the current president came? Rero ni ugura abantu bashakisha uburyo, nibyo tuzakora, nibyo twe to be president. He was just tureba imbere yacu. called to the office, and this man thought he was making a good deal, and they handed him power. They also know that actually there were witnesses, heads of state. Did you know that? One of them being the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. The other one being the president of Egypt, Sisi. The other one being President Ramaphosa of South Africa. You ask to go and visit them and ask them this question. So this whole thing, you see, no, I wish they could actually come forward and say, hey, wait a minute, by the way, we know this story. the story, and the other thing is, you also know that Rwanda being blamed for M23, FCM23, Eastern Congo, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Fine. You can blame us for doing whatever we could to make sure FDR doesn't cause Rwanda problems, and whoever was supporting that. But you cannot blame us for the start of this conflict, because everybody knows where this conflict started from and by who, and it is nothing to do with Rwanda. This M23, I have said it before, came from Uganda. They did not come from here. Why was it not made Uganda's problem? Are these things I'm talking about new to you? You don't know them? But the story goes out today, it's every day, Rwanda, M23, Rwanda, FD. Yes, but you should also tell people how this became Rwanda's problem. Our problem was simple, twofold. FDLR it has been a problem in the past. It's a problem now. It will be a problem in the future if it continues to exist, threatening Rwanda. There is no way. We don't, as I again said before, we don't need anybody's permission to protect our country. It doesn't matter. So that one put aside. The other one is this Congo uprooting its own people from their ancestral homes and from wherever, and Rwanda has nothing to do with how Kinyarwanda speaking people went to Congo. Nothing. We cannot be blamed for it. But they've been killing people in broad daylight. They've been removing them from their homes and making them refugees here. You know how many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people originating from there who are refugees here. So the fact that we are hosting these people, the fact that we are saying we can't accept FDLR, is it a problem that Rwanda should be blamed for? Is it a complicated problem that groups of experts cannot see? So I've given you a very wide explanation to the very simple question you asked. Whatever solution that does not address these important matters to be addressed will just keep the problems between Rwanda, DRC, the whole region, and wherever else, going forever. But the matter is simple. If you don't play games, if you don't allow genocide ideology to take over the region, and then things can be addressed. So for me, I'm thankful to President Trump's decision. And by the way, even if it doesn't work, I don't think they should be the ones to be blamed. They are not the ones to blame. Because in the end, they are not the ones to implement what we have agreed. They just brought people together concerned with the problem, and they've introduced a new way of approaching this problem, which has not been forthcoming from others. And so here, it's our job, it's our task for us in the region to implement that, or DRC or Rwanda to implement their part of the bargain in the agreement. But of course, it helps if the United States administration remains close by to follow up and says to people, well, you said you would do this, what happened? They have some leverage over the matter. So I think I have, I did it so broadly to preempt other questions related coming. Yes, okay.
Thank you. So we could have light, and then we'll come this way. There's another mic.
Oh. Thank you, Mr. President, for having us. Thank you, sir. I have a question with two parts. The first part is the deal between Rwanda and DRC about joint security measures and removing FDLR. What is the promises have you received to achieve this? And then the second part is what steps will Rwanda take if the FDLR is not removing?
Yeah, let me add something. But I come to it, your question, which I, by the way, the deal we reached in Washington, D.C. does not stand in isolation. That one was mainly between Rwanda and DRC. Equally important there is another deal ongoing that concerns the internal groups of Congo, FC, M23, and the government, and maybe I don't know where else they will involve. That is being discussed and brokered in and by Qatar. The state of Qatar. You remember the story when I met with President Sekedi in Qatar, in Doha, and it originates from there. So these are two sides of really the same coin. So internal matters, so that, and the reason was to avoid the confusion that had been created over years and which nobody was addressing. Congo was always trying to make this problem only a problem between Rwanda and DRC. But there is a bigger component that is DRC's problem, not anything to do with Rwanda. So that's why, in fact, that Qatar effort will look at it broadly between AFC M23 and DRC, in my view, and maybe by extension, because that is the political side now. I said three things: political, economic, and security. So the political is actually mainly internal, so that it doesn't continue to produce these problems that where you deny people their citizenship, or like the other side, you hand over power to somebody and runs with it, and later on, last time we had elections, so-called, but no elections really happened. It was just a continuation of the thing that was handed to the man, and he just keeps running with it. But that's another story. So, and I'm reminded by what you just brought up. As I said, we reached an agreement in Washington, D.C., but it is not up to Washington to implement it. It's those who reached the agreement there to actually be the ones to implement what they agreed. And we have also seen in the whole history of this matter that people really don't necessarily do things according to what they agreed they are going to do. That's a lesson you have learned over many years. So if FDLR is not dealt with, and we have set out the way to deal with it in the agreement, then that means the FDLR continues to be there and the problem continues to be there. And Rwanda will always do what it has to do when FDLR is along our border. There is no magic wand here to be used by anybody. It's you have just to do what is right to do to deal with the matter. So for us, we have this obligation, and we have laid our case, and out of that, we have agreed to do a number of things to deal with, and do it together with others, and we will do that. You will never find Rwanda at fault with implementing what we have agreed to do. You'll never. But if the side we are working with plays tricks and takes us back to the problem, then we deal with the problem like you have been dealing with it. There are no two ways about it. But we are serious, we are honest, we look forward to implementing what we agreed to do and to eliminate the problem.
Thank you. Since Maurice has a microphone, we'll agenda next.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Ufitine Maremi Maurice, ndi umunyamakuru wa RBA. Mu kiganiro n'abanyamakuru cyo kuwa 9 Mutarama, mwaragize muti iki kibazo cyakabaye cyarakemutse kera iyo abantu bakirebera mu mizi yacyo batagiye gucengacengana. Ni ku ruhe rwego mubona aya masezerano ya Washington areba ikibazo agihereye mu mizi, ese muyafitiye ikizere kingana gute? Murakoze.
Yabona bisobanuye n'ubwo nabivuze mu Cyongereza mbere, amasezerano yarahari. Mu masezerano hari ibyo aba yashinzwe bemera gukora buri umwe ku giti cye cyangwa se gukorana hamwe. Ntabwo rero iteka abantu bose bakoresha ukuri cyangwa bavugisha ukuri no mu byo bemeye ku mugaragaro, ariko navuga ko ku ruhande rw'u Rwanda tuzakora ibyo twemeye uko bishoboka, ariko bimwe bihera ku byo abandi bakora nabo twemeranyije. Iyo badakoze ibyo twemeranyije, ubwo birumvikana ko bifite ingaruka ku byo natwe tugomba gukora, kuko twemeye kubikora kandi tuzabikora ari uko n'abandi buzuza uruhande rwabo. Rero kandi ibi nibidakora tuzakomeza dushakisha inzira iyo ari yo yose. Igihe inzira itaraboneka yo gukemura ibibazo uko bikwiriye kuba bikemuka, u Rwanda narwo ruzakomeza gukora ibishoboka byose kugira ngo rurinde abanyarwanda, rurinde igihugu aho kubura umutekano bitewe n'uko abandi twumvikanye batuzuza ibyabo byangombwa. Ibyo rero ni uguhora abantu bashakisha uburyo, nibyo tuzakora, nibyo twebwe tureba imbere yacu.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Lionel Ditavirie. I work for the Pan-African Review. Since we are on the topic of Congo, in 2012, during Kugirana, you gave a speech in which you criticized powerful countries, mainly Western powers, for scapegoating Rwanda, imposing sanctions in an attempt to reshape our region to their liking. You even mentioned that they were they considered us as sheep to be,
slaughtered,
yes.
wherever.
So you used Rwandans to be self-reliant. You used the term which has deeper meaning, I think, Kugirana, and to ensure that they will never again be made to carry the blame for crimes committed by others. So my question is, more than a decade later, how close has Rwanda come to achieving the kind of self-reliance you envisioned?
Yeah, for Rwanda, I can account for everything you ask me to account for. What I can't account for is what others have been doing, because those 13 years ago and what I said, Rwanda has constantly been changing. But those powerful countries and how they see us, or maybe see other Africans, has really not changed. It's the same story, and it is what I've just been talking about. They still don't care. Not only do they not care, they actually want to stop you caring for yourself. That's the biggest problem. But for Rwanda, the progress we have made, and especially of taking care of ourselves, I mean, the story speaks for itself. Do you know that, by the way, with Eastern Congo, just before the fall of Goma and Bukavu and other parts, what had been assembled by government and those they called their allies and so on and so forth, assembled in numbers of people, men and women, assembled in weaponry, assembled in terms of mobilizing even support of other countries politically support that, you would not believe it. But what happened, and you know it, and you saw it. It was Rwanda saying it won't happen here again. That just doesn't come anyhow. You have to have made progress on many fronts to be able to stand for yourself and respond to all the things that are brought your way to destroy you. So I think that story may speak for itself for many years. If we hadn't been building the unity of purpose, the strength to preserve ourselves and live. This Rwandan cannot live on the whims of others. No. It happened, and I've told you even this last year's April. It happened once. It will never happen again. Once was too many times. For the second one, somebody else will pay for it. They will be the ones to go. They will be the ones to perish, not Rwanda again. That one, take it from, I have repeated it. It's not bragging, it's not, it's an act of survival. We don't owe our living to anyone. Never will it happen again.
Your Excellency, may we take a short break and come back for the next segment of this conversation?
Let's take one and then...
One more? Okay, Anangwe. And then...
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Eugene Anangwe. I'm the CEO and founder of East Africa Media Group. We do a lot of mentorship and training for media to just change the narrative about media in Rwanda and the region. I'll start first of all by saying thank you for the work you did and all the gallant soldiers to give us a country. I would like to move us away a bit from the DRC conversation and bring it back to 31 years ago. Before the liberation struggle, there was your personal story, the convictions, the thing that made you feel like I need to rise up and fight for my country. And Mr. President, I want to invite you to download the Untold, those moments that you remember today, and when you look back, you say, this was a worthwhile fight for my country. Maybe let's start there, and then we can continue later.
Yeah, that's a bit complicated, but I'll try. At the beginning, when I was talking about this whole 31 years being a tough but enjoyable story, I meant the tough side was what was confronted and dealt with, being of such a magnitude that for the half-hearted, they would just collapse under the weight of it first day. But fortunately, we had many people who were up to the task and who were ready and able to give it all, because it meant everything to them. When something means everything to you, then you give everything to make sure it is in good hands. But it was tough. That one, no question, and no need to, there is no way of emphasizing it. The enjoyable part I'm talking about, even on the tough situation, is understanding the story itself, where you are coming from and where you are going, and then finding yourself in the middle of it, being one among many to be looked up to deal with such a tough travel, such a tough journey. it gives a sense of pride, inspiration, really something that is worth being associated with. And when you are there, but also you approach it with a sense that it doesn't end there. The story doesn't end there. What comes out in the end must reflect that difference between what you really fought against and what you are creating. They have to be different. You can't fight against a bad thing and end up with a bad thing yourself, because it would be such a waste of life, even in personal terms. So for me, personal, there are things I can explain, there are other things I can't explain. I cannot explain why in a situation like this that we can explain how, even if you explain the magnitude, of it, and those many people I talked about who were ready to give what they had, and they did, many of them are no longer with us. But their names, their stories live on. Their bravery lives with us. But at the same time, I cannot explain why in that whole journey, one is no longer with us and the others are still with us. Yet all of us were exposed to the same danger. I don't think those who are still lucky like me to still be alive, I cannot account for why I'm still alive. I could have easily gone the way of the others who didn't make it. Therefore, it can't be, there is no one who can get praised for still being alive, because it has nothing to do with you. It just happened. Not because you are smarter or more brave or no, it just happened. So that one I can't account for, I can't explain. I can only explain what I do when I'm there. And in fact, some of those who sacrificed are no longer alive. We remember them, we honor them, we respect them for what they know they were, what we know they were associated with, or they did when they are still there. It's the same thing even when they are gone. Yes, these are the people because of those things they did. So for my personal stories, you can take it the way you want. Some of the things I'm not responsible for. But others I'm responsible for. Maybe those ones are the ones you can judge the way you want. So that's my personal story.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May we take a short break
Yeah.
and come back for the second segment?
All right.
Thank you.
In a few moments, we find you ready.
twariboye nariboye 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 twariboye nariboye. Twariboye nariboye. Twariboye nariboye.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and welcome to the second segment of this symposium. Important conversation between yourself and the members of the press. We could go straight to Jesse, and then we'll come to Rigoga.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Jesse Maxella. I host a morning edition on 94.3 Royal FM. You have mentioned 31 years ago, it's been tough, but there's been moments that you've enjoyed. I just want to look at the story that you have, some of which we have an understanding. You said some time back, Rwanda does not follow rules, and you mentioned that Rwanda follows choices. I want to know, in what ways did your experience as a refugee shape or push you to learn about the world and the experiences of other countries? At the same time, how did this shape your ideology, orientation, or ideological orientation, and the choices that you have made for the country, Rwanda? Thank you.
For the rules, especially the rules of others, we don't follow. We follow our own choices and our own rules. And then if we are to follow other people's rules and choices, it's because we have a good understanding between us with them. But the world we live in has a tendency for people to dictate to you how you follow. You should follow the rules. And especially when they are their own. I mean, somebody else's rules to be applied to me. I think we have to make it difficult for them for us to follow their rules. Now, to your question. The first and foremost, guide